and a clothing factory. Right? The cotton farmer grows cotton and sells it to the textile mill for 1,500 kwacha. He pays 1,000 kwacha in wages and 300 kwacha in rent for his land. The textile mill buys the cotton, spins it into fabric, and sells it to the clothing factory for 3,000 kwacha. It pays 800 kwacha in wages and 300 kwacha for rent. The clothing factory buys the fabric, makes the shirts, and sells them to consumers for 5,000 kwacha. It pays 1,200 kwacha in wages and 500 kwacha in rent for the factory. So we need to calculate the GDP using the value added approach, the expenditure approach, and the income approach. These approaches have to give us the same GDP. According to that circular flow diagram, we're supposed to get the same value for the GDP. So we're going to start with the value added approach. Okay, the value added, is the price of the good minus the cost of the raw materials. Okay. Price of the good minus the cost of the raw materials. Right? As I say, think of it as the value added to the raw materials basic. Okay. So the cotton farmer grows cotton and sells that cotton for 1,500. Okay. They haven't given us any cost of the raw materials, so you say cost here 0. Value added 1,500 minus 0, 1,500. Any questions? The textile mill buys the cotton from the cotton farmer. Okay, so for the textile mill, the price of the raw material is 1,500 because they bought it from the cotton farm. They need this raw material, which is the cotton, to make it into fabric. Okay, and they sell the fabric for, let me check here, 3,000 kwacha. Yes, sell the fabric for 3,000 kwacha. Okay, so the value added 3,000 minus 1,500, 1,500 kwacha. Okay. The clothing factory buys the fabric from the textile mill at 3,000 kwacha because the textile mill sold it to their clothing factory. So the cost of the raw materials for the clothing factory, which is the fabric, is 3,000 kwacha. Okay, the clothing factory sells the clothes for 5,000. Okay, so 5,000 minus 3,000, 2,000 kwacha. Okay, so the value added 1,500 plus 1,500 plus 2,000, you get 5,000 kwacha. Any questions? Okay, we now go to the expenditure approach. Okay, so the expenditure approach, we're looking at the money that is spent on the finished products. Okay, remember with the GDP, you're not calculating intermediate products, the products which are made in between. You want the finished product. Yes, you've got a question?
Maybe you scroll up there. There is something that I want to find out.
Okay.
The question.
Yeah.
Yes. So this question is you're going to follow like the way they are, or maybe you can jumble them.
If you jumble them, then you are jumbling the production process from a raw material to its finished goods. Would that be fair?
No.
Any other question? Okay, so we're now going to the expenditure approach. As I'll say, it's the spending on the final good, not in any intermediate goods, the final good. All right. The clothing factory makes the shirts and sells it to consumers for 5,000 kwacha. So this 5,000 kwacha here is going to fall under consumer spending. We do not have any investment spending that has been taught to us. We don't have any government spending that has been given to us. We don't have any exports or imports. Okay, we just have consumer spending, which is spent on the shirts which were produced, which is 5,000. Okay, so our GDP using the expenditure approach is 5,000 kwacha. Any questions?
Can you just repeat again? Before we, just repeat again.
Repeat where, sir? Be specific.
Just you're saying the GDP, we're going to. Since we haven't given the others, right? So we're going to only go to the.
Yes, we only focus on the consumer spending on what has been produced in that economy, which is shirts.
Okay.
Yes, there was another hand raised.
So I was going to agree with Nakasana that you repeat.
Okay.
Just, just so that we just get a clear understanding, sir.
Okay, repeat it. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said, madam?
No, sir, I didn't hear you.
Under the expenditure approach, number one, you're focusing on spending on final goods. That's why we're only focusing on the value of the shirts. Okay, the fabric and the cotton, those are intermediate goods. That's why I haven't included the spending which was done in between here. Okay, that's point number one. With GDP, you're only looking at the value of a finished good, the spending on the value of a finished good. Alright, so that's why these other expenditures in between for these intermediate goods, we've ignored them. Then number two, since the shirts, after they've been produced, they were sold to the consumers. So in our formula here for the expenditure approach, we are focusing on the parties that spend within an economy. We only have consumer spending. Okay, we don't have any investment spending, we don't have government spending, and we don't have imports and exports. Is that okay, madam? Who's the madam who asked the question?
Is it possible that in the question they can also include investment and also government spending?
Yes, they can.
But okay, I would wish to see the question because I wanted to differentiate how to solve it on value added approach and also on GDP. GDP, yes, right to point it is straightforward, but on a value added approach.
Value added approach, as I said, you're just going to be tracking from the raw material up to the finished goods. So you won't have any exports in there, or you're only looking at the final product that has been produced and its value.
Okay.
Then if there are any exports, they'll tell you, okay, this was exported. If there was government spending, there'll be some tabulations to do.
But we don't have to add them like those.
Though you have, in the expenditure approach, you have to add them. If we're given investment, government, and the other ones, would include them.
Okay. Looking forward to see such kind of question. I think that's where I can get the full concept.
Yes. Remember, we always start small, okay? We always start small. Because if I started with such an example, we would have spent 3 hours on this question. So we'll start small where there's only one party spending in the economy, that's consumers. Is that okay, colleagues? Are we okay with me starting small?
Yes.
Madam Diana, are you okay with me starting small? Madam Karen? Mr. Kasono?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Okay. I can go to the income approach now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the income approach. Okay, so remember it's profits plus rent plus interest plus wages. Okay, we're looking at the income that is earned by the factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so we need to start calculating the profits. So we start with the cotton farm. So the profit equals the revenue they made for selling the good minus the cost of raw materials minus the rent they paid minus the wages they paid. So the farmer sold the cotton for 1,500. Cost of raw materials, we say it's 0. The rent was 300 kwacha, and wages 1,000. Okay, so 1,500 minus 300, 1,200. 1,200 minus 1,200 kwacha. That's the profit the cotton farmer made. The textile mill, again same formula here. At the textile mill, they sold their fabric for 3,000. The cost of the raw materials, which is the cotton, 1,500 minus the rent, 300, wages 800. Okay, so 3000 minus 1500, 1500. 1500 minus 300, 1200. 1200 minus 800, you get 400 kwacha. In the clothing factory, revenue they made 5,000. Cost of raw materials, they bought the fabric from the textile industry, so 3,000. Minus the rent, rent was how much here? Rent 500, wages 1,200. $5,000 minus 3,000, that's 2,000. 2,000 minus 500, 1,500. 1,500 minus 1,200, you get 300 watts. Right? So GDP, profits first. $200 plus 400 plus 300 get 900. Rent, the landowners, $300 plus 300 plus 500. $300 plus 300, 600 plus 500, 1,100. Interest, there is no interest information about interest given to us. Okay, no information given to us about interest. Okay. So wages, we got here 1,200 here, 800 here, and 1,000 here. So 1,000 plus 800 plus 1,200. We're going to get 1,000 plus 800, 1,800 plus 1,200, we get 3,000. So total GDP 900 plus 1100, 2000. 2000 plus 3000, we get 5000 watch.